All Arkansas, all sports. It's more sports.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad you're with us on this Tuesday night for more sports. We got a fun show lined up for you tonight. We're going to talk some high school football, of course. The Arkadelphia Badgers are the more sports team of the week. Arkadelphia went to Lake Hamilton last Friday night, down, came back in the second half, and beat the 6A Lake Hamilton Wolves. Arkadelphia 4A team getting that big win. Of course, Arkadelphia number one in 4A. And also the defending state champs, but still a big win to go on the road and beat Lake Hamilton. We'll hear from Trey Shucker, their head coach, here in just a bit. We're going to also talk some Razorback football, some SEC football. A friend of mine, Rob Browne from Sidelines, joins us now. What's up, Rob, man? How are you? You know, I've been coming on your show for years, and so it's almost it's a treat for me to pay it back and have you on my show.
Look, glad to do it. You when we started, you began to come on. I was looking for somebody that covers Arkansas, and you started coming on TV, radio, and hell, I'm excited to be on here. I'm really excited because my wife and I were going to Atlanta to see our oldest daughter opening weekend of college football, and I said, the digital media, you are the capital, the bureau chief of the SEC Network Western Bureau. That's your new title.
I'll handle that. You know, we'll hold down the Western Front for you, the Wild West. Let's start with Arkansas. Just a disappointing finish to that Ole Miss game. Arkansas driving, 2-minute warning. Rob, I was convinced. During that 2-minute timeout, I was like, they're about to just ram this down their throats, make Lane Kiffin use his final timeouts, and just milk this clock as much as they can and win the game. And so I was just shocked like everybody else in Arkansas. That first play, they rip it out, fumble, and basically game's over.
Yeah. Well, I had picked Arkansas to win, and Ellis Johnson and Pete Cordelli were on our Monday show. Ellis thought Arkansas could win by a couple of touchdowns, but I based that on, Taylor Green, second year in the Bobby Petrino system. Hogs are driving down there in late in the game. Yeah, it was unfortunate, but they're going to be in every game because the offense is so explosive, and they've got some really good running backs. And not a lot of schools in the SEC do. So as they say in the country, that's not nothing. That's a big deal.
Should Taylor Green be getting more national conversation about the Heisman Trophy?
If you ever watch football and you know football, and you do, and I like to think I do, yes. And that's what I'm saying. There's just a bias toward the teams the further east you go in the SEC. And it's always been that way. If there was a Western Bureau, he would be getting the attention. He's 6'6". He can run. He can throw. If you looked up in the dictionary what a dual threat quarterback is, it's Taylor Green, and he's very smart. He's got to be pushing 30-plus starts in college.
That's a good point. I got to go back and look that up at what he did at Boise State and then last year at Arkansas and now this year. You're right. That experience is paying off, and I just think he looks like a more comfortable quarterback standing in the pocket. He doesn't have those happy feet, and it helps that the offensive line is blocking this year. And he's got a clean pocket so many times just to stand there and look at option one, option two, and scan the field. And we didn't see a whole lot of that last year.
No, and I've been watching Bobby Petrino since 2002 when he came to Auburn, and the impact that he had on Jason Campbell in 1 year was really profound. And I look at Arkansas. And it is frustrating because population-wise, it's less than 3 million. They've got to be able to recruit in Texas and Oklahoma, Missouri, and Tennessee. But I think, and you're from Jacksonville, Texas. We talk about this a lot when you're on the show. Arkansas's name now is everywhere in Texas. They're playing A&M. Now that's becoming a home and home. So I think it's just kind of, bridging the gap. I think Arkansas' best days are ahead of them if they will be as aggressive as they used to be recruiting a state like Texas, because there's so many Arkansas alums in Houston, I'd say San Antonio, but really Dallas, Fort Worth especially, and that'll carry a lot of weight long term.
Where do you see this team going for the rest of the season?
I think if the defense, Marcus Woodson, Travis Williams, if they can improve, 40%. You get in a shootout with Ole Miss. That's hard. That's hard to do on the road. But I think Arkansas can win 7 or 8 games. They're going to have trouble when teams have LSU is going to be a tough match. But then again, I didn't pick LSU in my top 6 preseason because I'm like, I just don't believe their offense is Arkansas's offense way better than LSU. So, I think they can win 7 or 8 games, but they got to get Memphis Saturday. They got to take care of business. And Memphis, I was at the Touchdown Club last night in Memphis. This is a big deal for them, but Arkansas is going to bring a ton of people. They'll buy every ticket that's out there. Online, of course. No more paper tickets.
I got to think, a lot of Eastern Arkansas fans made the trip to Oxford, but that was a tougher ticket to get. I think this will be a little easier. And there's nothing to say they won't go back to back. I mean, what a treat for those folks in East Arkansas to get to go to back Razorback games. So I agree. I think that it's going to be a very, I don't want to say a 50-50 crowd there for Memphis, because Memphis is excited about this. This is a chance to host and beat an SEC team at home. They'll have their fans, but I think there's going to be a large group of Razorback fans.
Look, I'm from Memphis. I've been watching Arkansas. I'm over in Parkin right now at the farm at our hunting club. They will descend. They will take Memphis over. I mean, I won't be surprised if they don't get half the crowd. I mean, Memphis has been winning. I mean, they won 11 games last year, but Arkansas SEC fan bases, it's hard to compete against them. Talking to a bunch of Arkansas fans last night, Phil Stevenson and different people I know that are as hardcore as it gets. Everybody they know is, hey, can we stay with you? They're coming in along with the National Guard. So it's going to be a big weekend in Memphis at Simmons Bank Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium that's being retrofitted as we speak.
Yeah. How close is it to being done?
It's a while, and that pile of money they got, I heard last night the Grizzlies got like 72 million of it. But it's not going to be this year. What I don't like, and I was talking to Dave Woloshin, the play-by-play voice of the Memphis Tigers last night, I don't like what they're doing to the press box. It's just a matter of time. Your media tell the stories, and so it's well over. They're not going to have it finished this year. I know that. And with construction, you don't want to say when because you look like a fool. We all have seen people that did a home renovation with the orange dumpster in the driveway for a year, 2, 3 years.
Rob, there are 11 SEC teams ranked this week. Who's the best team in the SEC?
I think right now, I still think it's Georgia. I picked Georgia and Alabama to play for the SEC title. I think Georgia is a couple of reasons. They're a team full of alpha males, and there's a lot of betas. And at quarterback, you've got to have a guy when you walk in the locker room. You played college ball and you've covered UCA, the Bears, for a long time. Doesn't matter, D1, 2, or 3. You've got to have the leader in there, the unquestioned leader. Gunnar Stockton, a lot of people don't realize he's one of the most respected and highest rated quarterbacks in Georgia high school history. As far as passing, I think he's the all-time passing leader. So I think Georgia's number one. And don't sleep on Alabama. But then again, don't be fooled by what they did the last couple of weeks. And I think LSU's good. I didn't buy the Texas hype. I just don't. You got to look at teams that have quarterbacks that have played a long time. I think A&M's pretty good. I think that Marcel Reed's pretty good. But right now, I've got Georgia and Alabama. I got to stick by it because I made it on my show. Georgia and Alabama. There's no question they're playing at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I'm going. We need to all go down there. But, hey, I think top to bottom, the league's better than it was last year.
No, I agree with that. I saw enough of Texas A&M, Notre Dame. A lot of Arkansas fans were interested in that game because Notre Dame's coming here in a couple of weeks, or less than a couple of weeks now, and then A&M's coming here. I was impressed with both teams. That was a very good football team, and I'm with you. There's a lot of talent on that A&M team.
Last week in my top 5 picks, I had A&M to win on the road as their first road win against a non-conference top 10 team since like 79. I think I got my driver's license that year. So that one, I had Arkansas to win, but I had Georgia to win. I had LSU to win, and I took Vandy to win. I just think when you look around, A&M, the key with them is 7 of their top 8 offensive linemen came back this year. And even though they lost Zachariah Branch and Noah Thomas was the receiver they lost to Georgia, they got some new guys, and their running back room is strong. And defense travels, but what defense was there in that game? And you know who the holder was that bobbled the snap? Former Alabama quarterback for a semester and lacrosse player Tyler Buckner.
Oh,
He's back at Notre Dame now. He was the one holding that snap.
felt like a Tony Romo moment all over again.
Yeah.
Felt sick for that kid. And then they
I
just
did
kept
too.
showing him over and over. Yeah. It was terrible.
Yeah. It was brutal. Yeah, it was tough.
All right, Tennessee. You buying into this Volunteers team?
My wife is a Vol for life, so she's in the other room. But I think Tennessee's pretty damn good. Joey Aguilar, and the first thing that caught my attention was Roman Harper was on our show this summer. He comes on a lot with us, and you need to get him on your show. The two of y'all with your football IQs would be incredible. And he talked about it, the turnovers that Aguilar made at App State when there was no reason for them. But I countered with Josh Heupel is great at coaching the quarterback. He and Lane Kiffin and Bobby Petrino, those three guys right there. So I think Tennessee has a chance to win out, but you can't give up 44 points. You know, you're going to be in more shootouts this season. So the defense, you got to get more pressures. But I think Tennessee, their receivers, Aguilar he's a great story of college football. Who won the trade? Nico to UCLA playing in front of 12,000 and, Joey Aguilar playing in front of 105 checkerboard orange and white. So I have Tennessee, I think, can win 9-10, possibly.
I like Vandy too. I just like watching them. And it starts with the quarterback. Well, no, it starts with the head coach and the attitude he has, but they're fun. They're just gritty, and they defensively they get after you, and you never know what Diego's going to do.
Well, the thing about Diego is, I watched New Mexico State just curb stomp Auburn back in 2023, and I was like, I remember Jerry Kill. He used to be at Minnesota. This guy is a survivor, survive and advance kind of guy. Diego Pavia, he's a two-time state wrestling champion at Volcano High School in Albuquerque. He is the guy that comes in the locker room, and if you're not giving 110%, you're fighting. He's afraid of nothing, and the only thing he's got to do is be careful about his body. It's just knowing when to slide and when not to. I asked him that at SEC Media Days. The other thing that I think about Vanderbilt is what Clark Lee said last year in Dallas at Media Days. And this was a year ago. And I don't think people were paying attention, but I caught it. He said, there's 134 players in the football building here at Vanderbilt. And every one of them signed up for what we are believing in, our vision of Vanderbilt. Not the Vanderbilt of your parents and your grandparents. The Vanderbilt of Clark Lee and Barton Simmons, who is the brain trust in the recruiting, kind of like what Jim Nagy's doing at Oklahoma. I think the Vanderbilt offensive line is really, really good. And you got Eli Stowers at tight end, former A&M quarterback. Hey, honk if you were a former Texas A&M quarterback starting at another school.
They had a good weekend, that's for sure. They were showing up all over the place. Yeah. And Jimbo couldn't win with them. How about that?
No. Well, you remember the stat that came out about 10 years ago of the 100 and now it's 135 D1 schools, 24 starting quarterbacks played their high school football in Texas. Mm-hmm. QB1 in Texas. You've ever seen Friday Night Lights? It's a big deal.
You mentioned Oklahoma a minute ago. They got the probably the marquee SEC game with Auburn this week. I think we find out a lot about Auburn, and their pass defense scares me, but I like their offense. I think this could be another shootout. We had plenty of those last weekend.
Yeah, and I like John Mateer, and also he's got Billy Arbuckle, his offensive coordinator. See, he started all the games last year after playing behind Cam Ward. He's from Little Elm, Texas, another one. I think he's kind of that cool hand Luke guy. People always talk about a quarterback being a game manager. Well, yeah, you better be a game manager. Auburn's going to have a hard time. I do think Auburn, for the first time since 2017, has an legitimate SEC offensive line. They even have some depth. So that gives Auburn a good chance. They need more. They need healthier. They're not – the running backs they've got are banged up. Darrell Robinson, Damari Austin. So, Cobb is going to get the ball a lot. But it's going to be hard to beat Oklahoma in Norman, 2:30. This is a monster. At this point, I'd take Oklahoma, but Auburn to cover.
Rob, this was fun. It was a pleasure to have you on. I told you I'd keep you for about 15 minutes, and our 15 minutes are just about up. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I will come on anytime and get you back on next week with us, but you are the Western Bureau of the SEC Network Bureau Chief, and I'm looking forward to being on your show anytime you ask me. Thank you.
Now let's talk a little high school football. It is the More Sports Team of the Week. It is the Arkadelphia Badgers, and their head coach, Trey Shucker, joins us. Coach, congratulations. What a game against Lake Hamilton, and what a comeback.
Yeah, no, it was a great game, back and forth. We started off a little shaky, but over the course of the game, I thought our conditioning and just the consistency, just the competitive edge that our kids play with, I thought that, ultimately was in our favor by the end of the game.
What did it mean to the team to beat a bigger school, a 6A school?
Yeah, that's something that we want to do in our non-con. We want to play upper classification teams. We want to put ourselves to the test. We work really hard around here, just like everybody does. But we're at a place in our program where we feel like we can do that and compete. We feel ultimately it just makes us better, and our kids have a great mentality about that. Our kids have a mentality. It doesn't matter who we play. We want to go win, and so having the opportunity to play some upper classification teams, I feel like it benefits our kids and our program, and just kind of creates a higher expectation. That's what we want to uphold.
Love that game, and it's almost like a little mini rivalry, right down the road. It makes sense. How much did last year's game get played last week before the game, and how much were the kids talking about what happened the year before?
Yeah, no, they were. They come out here to our stadium last year, and it was a close game at the very end, and they ended up beating us. This group right here, they want to win every game. They want to go undefeated this season, and so that's something that they're really hungry and one of their goals for the season. Lake Hamilton, they beat us last year, so our kids were really excited to have an opportunity to try to bounce back from that and beat them. Bryson McCoy, our starting quarterback, mentioned too, all week he didn't get a chance to play them last year. And so, he was really excited for the game also. He missed the game last year. He got a small injury against Hot Springs in last year's game. So he didn't get to play against Lake Hamilton last year. So he was really excited about the opportunity to get to play them this year.
We had Kane Archer on a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about their goal. They want to go undefeated. And I asked Coach Young about that, and I want to ask you. You seem to embrace that, because for some that's high, lofty expectations. What makes you embrace that goal for your kids?
Well, part of it is the amount of seniors that we have back off of last year's team. Last year winning a state championship, a lot of them. We graduated a really good senior class, but there was a lot of juniors on the field for us. So we bring back 22 seniors for this year's team, and about 15, 16 of those are high contributors or starters for us this year. And so we bring back a strong group that's been through the battle of a whole season and know what it's like to win a state championship. And so that's the type of leadership that we have right now. We have a high expectation because we've already done it. Every game that we feel like is winnable. We've got to play well in all the games. As you've seen, we've had a tough non-conference slate. We've not played well all the time, but we found a way to get it done. And so now that we're getting into conference play, being 3-0, we feel like we are battle tested, probably more battle tested than any of the other conference opponents. We've had to play 4 quarters of football every Friday night up to this point, and so we feel like at any given time, doesn't matter what the score is, we can go out and execute and find a way to get it done. So our seniors, our team right now, our coaches have a high expectation that we can go out and get it done at any Friday night. We just got to go play well and prepare well.
Tell me about that, because fourth quarter, second half, y'all are trailing, by 2 scores, right, against Lake Hamilton, and come back and then you win by 2 scores. Where does that come from for the team? How'd you build that?
Yeah, so pretty much all week, even for the past couple weeks, talking to the team throughout the week, I don't care what the score is. I want to play Badger football. I want to play the way that we coach it. I want to play, within our scheme. I want you guys to go out there and compete and play hard. Don't really care what the score is. go play the same way no matter what it says. And so I feel like our kids have really taken to that because we've been down the past couple weeks, and our kids go out and play. That they're not panicking. They just go out and play and try to execute and meet the expectation and the way we coach it. And so I feel like over the course of the game, by the end of the game, we've been able to outlast the other team.
Where did it all turn for you Friday night? Was there a play?
So I think in the second half, we broke off a couple really explosive plays, had a couple explosive runs, had a few nice catches. Ryan Roberts had a really long touchdown catch. I think that one was offensively, that was a big turning point in the game. Defensively, we kept getting them off the field on third down. I think that was one of the biggest things. Just the second half, we were not cramping. I think they started cramping some, and so our kids kind of started getting energized by that because we were feeling good, and we could tell that they weren't.
How about your defense? I mean, they got the big stop at the end of the game and prevented Lake Hamilton from trying to, a comeback.
Yeah, our defense is tough, and it's we go good on good, especially in weeks like this. We have a bye week. We'll go good on good, and, man, it's tough to play our defense. They play with so much energy, so much violence and aggression, and they're good tacklers, very disciplined, just a lot of experience over there on defense. And then, obviously, they're a little bit stronger and bigger and heavier right now than they were last year. All of our linebackers are around 200 to 220 pounds. They all can run. We've got two defensive ends that are really, really impressive. Probably two of the best defensive ends we'll see all year. And so, we've got really good competition when it goes good on good. But our defense, they're very intense. They're very good. Coach Kaiser, Coach Chandler, Coach Waller, our defensive staff does a really good job of getting our guys ready to play and just bringing the aggression that you want to play with defense. Good defenses, they're loud, they communicate well. They fly around, they're getting to the football, and they're good tacklers, and they're bringing some violence and physicality with it. And so, I know a lot of defensive coaches will appreciate me saying that, but that's good defense to do that. And, that's the kind of style of football that we're playing with right now.
With so many dudes on defense, is there the one dude, the leader of your defense?
Right now, it kind of goes back and forth between a few of them. On the defensive front, we've got Xavier Williams, a defensive end. I think he's had 7 sacks up to this point already. At linebacker spot, we've got 2 guys that are really the voice. Malachi Hamilton, our middle linebacker, and then Quintavion Morris, he's our outside linebacker. Those 2 are guys that the rest of the team really looks up to. They're battle tested. They've been through a lot of reps, a lot of big time situations. They've, stepped up in those big situations. And so those guys carry a lot of weight on our team.
I jokingly want to ask you this. When are you going to quit punting the ball? After what I saw in the state championship game, and I guess Lake Hamilton had a big punt return. Why don't you just go for it, Coach?
Yeah. So we actually have a really good long snapper in Casey Pye. He's a guy that's gotten some college offers to play at the next level as a long snapper. Wow. And then this year we've got a sophomore, Bryce Meekin. He's a wide receiver. He's a backup quarterback for us. And then he's also our starting punter. Really, really good punting leg. And he's really done a good job of using the punt. We've used the punt more this year than we have in the past on trying to play some field position battles with how good our defense is. We feel like if we can pin offenses deep, and make them have to go the full field, our defense can get them off the field at some point during the drive. And I feel like just the way that our offense or the way that our team is right now with a really good long snapper, we have a really talented punter. We use that into our favor. I know we had a punt return for a touchdown last week, and it was in a situation that typically people don't return the ball, but that's kind of one of the coaching points in that situation is, hey, we're punting the ball to them. They have the right to return it, whether, it's a tough situation for them to return the ball or not. Typically, you don't see returners return it in that situation. There was traffic all the way around. We were in the position to make the tackle, but their player did a really good job. He just scooped it up and started running, and he was off to the races. We didn't catch him. So, but typically, the punt formation for us has been really good this year.
Did everything right, but one thing.
That's right.
What are you going to do Friday night with the night off?
Yeah, so Friday is going to be about family for us. We've got a couple conference opponents that are playing, but we play Nashville the next week to start conference. They're not playing. We play Bauxite the week after that. They're not playing this week, and so our next two opponents, there's nobody to really go watch, and so we're going to spend time with the family. Football season for us around here is a long season, and you get a Friday night off, and it's very important to go spend some time with family because you don't get many of those. I think it's been for the past 10 years, Arkadelphia played Thanksgiving week. And so that's a long season, not many Friday nights off. So when you get them like this, you get to take advantage of them with the family.
How do you like starting conference play with Nashville and ending conference play with Malvern?
That's right. So, I mean, Nashville's much improved, and they're going to be one of the top teams in our conference. Malvern is always historically really good in our conference also. I know Bauxite is having a really good season so far, too. He's coming off a couple really good wins. Our conference slate's stacking up so far, and we're really excited about it. We like that we get to play Nashville early in the conference, and then finishing with Malvern is a really big game at the end of the season, a Week 10 game. In the past, there's a lot of weight into that game. That game has really determined the conference championship the past few years. And so we like that we get to play both of them the first week of the conference and then the last week. It kind of sets up it's really good timing because it gives our kids something to look forward to.
I have not looked at the 4A bracket. If you win the 7-4A, do you get a bye week, another Friday night off?
No, not this week. Not this.
I was going to say that could be your goal. Try to get one more Friday night off after this Friday night. But
to be honest with you, we've been a part of that, and we've had some bye weeks to start the playoffs. To be honest with you, I'd rather play. I'd rather just keep it going. The bye weeks can sometimes hurt you.
Yeah,
and
we see it every year. With some team loses that you're like, whoa, did not see that one coming.
Especially late in the year like that, when everybody's so geared up to go and they've already had a full season. I think it's just better to keep playing. I think you see that in the college level too. A lot of the bye week teams last year in the college playoffs didn't win the next week. So those bye weeks can hurt you. They're tough. It's tough to keep everybody motivated and focused.
Coach, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Enjoy your Friday night, and congratulations on being the More Sports Team of the Week. That was a great victory.
Yep. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on.
It's Trey Shucker joining us on More Sports, the Arkadelphia Badgers, the Team of the Week. And also got to give a shout-out, Joe T. Robinson. What a fantastic win they had over Lakeside. In fact, they were right up there in the voting on our Twitter poll. But it was Sylvan Hills that won the fan vote. Sylvan Hills off to a 3-0 start after losing 20 straight games. They went 0-10 the last 2 years, and Mark Kelly has come in, and Sylvan Hills has turned the corner and started conference play 3-0. They won our Twitter vote with 66% of the vote. The fans got on Twitter and let the message be heard with the other media members voting on it. We decided. And Sylvan Hills was our Team of the Week after week 1, after breaking the 20-game losing streak. So we've already had Mark Kelly on one, so I wanted to share the love a little bit. And Arkadelphia, with that big win over Lake Hamilton, was a very deserving team to be the More Sports Team of the Week. Coming up tomorrow night, we got a busy week lining up. I can tease it real quick. Tomorrow night, former Razorback Drew Morgan is going to join us. We're going to talk about the Ole Miss game, look ahead to the trip to Memphis, and just get his thoughts on what he's seen so far from this Bobby Petrino offense, Taylor Green, the wide receivers, and much more. We're going to talk a little defense on Thursday night. Braylon Mitchell, former Razorback linebacker, will join us. I got to think he's probably a little upset, like a lot of other Razorback fans, with what he saw out of the defense in the first half against Ole Miss. And then on Friday night, we're going to do another post-game show, a high school football post-game show. It is a smaller schedule this week because of week 4. Most of the teams, I would say in Arkansas, probably about 70%, maybe 60%, elect to play 0-1-2 weeks and then take a bye this week so that they get a little rest before conference play begins. But We still got games to talk about, and we're going to have about 10 coaches join us Friday night after the games for a high school football recap show. And then Saturday, we're going to do a Razorback post-game show as soon as that game with Memphis is finished. About 2:15. Chris Gregg will join me, former Razorback tight end. And he's got some ties, after coaching at Memphis and being at Memphis for a while. So he is familiar, obviously, with Arkansas, but Memphis too. So we're going to, who knows who might else join us for the post-game show. That should be a lot of fun Saturday. As soon as that Razorback game ends, we're not going to mess around, wait for a press conference with the coach. We're going to jump on here and instantly react to what we saw in that game against Memphis. So a busy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday still to come on More Sports. I'm glad you were with us tonight. Be sure to join us tomorrow night when we talk with Drew Morgan for More Sports.
All